Anything further? Rosemerry, Trommer.
Hey, Jesse. Thank you. Thanks everybody, actually. And those of you who are still hanging out here, wow, like you all deserve gold medals as the poetry devotee extraordinaires. Like to still be here at almost midnight, thanks. I wanted to jump in off of what Jordan was reading. That was really powerful, and the way that you're blending these texts, the old text and your reintegration with it is really powerful. Thanks, Jordan. And you mentioned about these waters that were clearly there's a lot going on in that water, and then this line, these waters become healing waters. And I was thinking about a song then that comes from Finland. That's where my family's from, and the song, I'll sing it in Finnish, but in English it says basically, watch all the waves on the river as they move together, flowing one into the other. And the song says, you know, wouldn't it be amazing as they move toward the ocean if they would become, isn't it amazing that they do become one water? And they don't ask why. Katson vieran kalvohon, kaikki kato sieltä, alto solisten, uuden alon tieltä. On kuin sielu sulhen, uutuiskulkuuni. Vieran kerran vieris pois, kusumätä kun. On Earth, just a teaspoon of neutron star would weigh 6 billion tons. 6 billion tons is the equivalent weight of every animal on Earth, including the insects, times 3. 6 billion tons sounds impossible until I consider what it is to swallow grief. Just 1 teaspoon, and one may as well have consumed a neutron star. How dense it is, how it carries in it the memory of collapse, how difficult it is to move then, how impossible to believe anything could ever lift that weight. There are many reasons to treat each other with great tenderness. One is the sheer miracle that we are together on a planet surrounded by dying stars. And another is none of us can see what anyone else has swallowed. We were talking a little bit before this reading, and Gary was saying that he had gone 3 days without speaking, and after 3 days, someone asked him, well, what did you notice? And he said, you need to say thank you more. That features into this next poem. This is called By the Numbers. Then let me measure my life, not in days, not in years, but in how many sunflowers grew in my gardens, and how many times I stopped to notice how beautiful they are. Let me measure my life in cups of Earl Grey tea, and how many times I say thank you, and in lines of poems that slipped into me more deeply, bringing me into the world. Let me grow old on belly laughs. Let me know my true age in kisses. And though it is a finite number, let me lose count. In hug years, let me be ancient In fist years, let me always be young. And let me measure my life in songs that insisted that I sing them. And may it equal the number of times they were sung. I was reading this poem actually in a class that Mark was in with me. Hi, Mark. And Kara was in that class too. Hi, Kara. And we were reading a poem by Rainer Maria Rilke. The translation by Robert Bly was actually a little bit off, but one of the lines in that translation, he said, "You love most of all those who need you as they need a crowbar or a hoe." And I thought about that line a lot, about how important it is sometimes to feel needed, to feel like we can actually help, like we could actually do something. And I don't know about you, but lately I've been really feeling like I've got to do something to help what's going on around here, because things are, wow. And that's tough, you know, when, as Wendy Vittelheck says, we really just don't know much at all. But we're doing our best. I hope we all are. This is called I Want a Lot. Rilke, you were right. I want so much to be useful. Today, I stared at the brown cardboard box on the counter and marveled at how a box knows exactly what it's here to do. It holds what needs to be held. It keeps things together. It helps things move where they need to go. It is a fort for a child, or a bed for a cat, or a makeshift sled in winter. I hazard to say the box never worries if it is enough. It simply folds up when the task is done and waits to be of use again. Or not. But oh, this longing to do more, to be more, to serve more, because in every direction the need is so great. Oh, this fear that no matter how much I do, it is never enough. A man is not a crowbar. A woman is not a box. But oh, for a moment to be able to hold things together. I know it's not how it works, but oh, for a moment to hold all that needs to be held. I think it was really exciting, actually, Carl, to see what you were doing with language. I appreciated it a lot, especially the horizon with the O's on either side and the I in the middle. And it reminded me how I got into poetry really in the first place. I was absolutely obsessed with this word sometimes, which is very symmetrical in the same way, with an S and then a vowel and then an M and then a vowel and then a T, nice and symmetrical in the center. And it was actually a priest when I got to this class I was taking for confirmation, that's what it's called. And I was all excited about this word sometimes. And the priest understood, wow, this girl, she cares a lot about language. And he gave me a book of E. Cummings poems for my confirmation present, which, you know, was actually a pretty risque thing to do for a priest. But it was what really pulled me into poetry, where I really understood how how much play could be involved, even in very serious poems. And so I appreciate him for that. I have a really silly, playful poem. I just thought I'd throw something just fun into the mix. And this is a poem that I don't know, like me, you've been spending a lot of time at home lately. And I just really wish someone else were around to help out. And that's where this poem came from. I want an interlude with Mr. Clean. I want to find him in my kitchen with his big, strong arms and his spotless white shirt. Call me James, he'll say, as I pour him a glass of Sauvignon Blanc. And he'll pull out a permanent black marker and write his name on the glass. What are you doing, I'll ask. When I'm around, there's a host of crafty possibilities, he'll say. And then he'll pull out his trusty white magic eraser and wipe the permanent marker away, and then he'll give me a spin. Open for me your oven door. James, I'll say, you don't mean that I will bring my legendary clean to your oven glass? Why, yes, Rosemerry, I can lift grease buildup from hard to reach places. And then he'll give me a flex, the kitchen sink. Next, he'll swagger across the room. I'll swoon. James, I never knew you'd be so adept at sticky residue, he'll suggest, and I'll guide his hand to my faucet. Say goodbye to water spots, and he'll flash me a grin, his teeth glistening white as brand new backsplash tile as unused linoleum, and we'll dance together across the sparkling floor, our sponges in hand, drawn to whatever's dirty, and the room will smell of meadows and bleach and rain. And darling, he'll say, don't you think it's time you took me to the bath? Well, there you go. There's the fantasy of a 50-year-old woman who's been home a little bit too long. I'm going to close with this poem, and I want to thank Tanner for this line. I know some who see the world holistically deeper, and I do know some who see the world holistically deeper, and I've actually heard some of them tonight. I want to thank all of you who were sharing tonight. I really want to thank you, Orlando. I want to thank you, Jesse. Thanks for what you're doing, pulling folks together, sharing poems, sharing voices, sharing our hearts, sharing our ears, listening to each other. And we change the world with the way we are in it, with what we choose to say and what we choose to hear and how we choose to move forward. So I thank you for that. It's a love poem, and this is for a friend of mine who does see the world holistically deeper. His name is Craig Childs, and he got married today to my dear friend Diva. We had a party for them out on their porch exactly a week ago, and read poems and sang and sat under the stars for hours and hours and hours, and this more or less happened just like this. Benediction. Tonight, love is a stray dog, hungry and lean, its manhood still intact, who wanders to your front yard, drawn by the smell of food and also to the laughter, the quiet guitar, the poems. He laps at spilled wine. He nuzzles your hand. He curls into the lap of everyone who will receive him. And though you can't fathom where he came from, can't name him, can't say what will happen tomorrow, tonight, love finds a place on your bench and nestles in, refuses to leave, insists on being at the center of things. And meanwhile, overhead, Jupiter and Saturn, the two biggest worlds in our solar system, prepare to conjoin. And meanwhile, all around, there's howling. But love doesn't make any noise. No, he is content to listen to your voices, telling the story of how it all began. He's content to be here, content to let you turn another page, while at your feet he stretches, settles, and makes your home his home. Hey, thank you.
Sorry. And her latest book is, I'm sorry, I want to make sure I get it. Hush, hush, okay.